Hey guys, welcome to another episode of What Are You Drinking? Episode 6 this time is going to be dealing with something that I saw in the news last week. The new Steam controller came out and I was just interested in seeing how all the good, the positive and the negative behind the actual design of the controller and how people are taking a while to get used to it. I've heard different things about the success of it, and it got me thinking about how people want to how people have got to this norm of how they've decided having the controllers that people are happy with. And what I mean by that is, I guess I want to talk about things like ABXY, triggers for guns, analog sticks, and even things like mouse keyboard being the accepted format for first-person shooters. So I'm just like, well, actually, you know what? Before I get started, how about we just go around the table and I'm going to ask you guys, what are you all drinking? How about we start with that?
Captain Morgan, Private Stock, and Coke. Not Pepsi this time. So if Coke wants to approach us for sponsorship.
Fair enough, well done.
Or Captain Morgan. Or Captain Morgan, let's not leave anyone in.
Well, yeah, we gotta get that alcohol sponsorship, man.
As we said in previous podcasts, we are still open to sponsorship.
I'm still waiting by the phone, guys.
Yeah, the lines are open. We've got all month, I guess. I was going to say all day, but it's going to be a while.
I've denied a few small sponsorships. I'm waiting for the big guns.
Yeah. I'm not going local.
Is this your grandma again?
Yeah.
After she listened to that episode?
She did $75 in the mail, but that wasn't about the podcast.
That was for your birthday, man.
1v1
She
me,
sent
bud.
you a check for $8 on your birthday? Did you fuck her on her plastic couch?
I knew that was coming.
All right, who's next?
You are, Kyle. Go ahead.
Me?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. So, just a side note. I had no beer in my fridge at the moment, but I did. I went and closed up my cottage earlier in the week, and when I had to empty out the fridge for the winter, and there's a bunch of random ass beers in there that I couldn't just leave. So I was like, well, I'll bring it back with me. So I'm drinking, not by choice, a Innocent Gun rum finish, oak aged beer.
I love Innocent Gun.
Yeah, Innocent Gun is okay, yeah. But it was the one in the fridge that was like, okay, I'll drink this one tonight. But
Kyle,
yeah,
they don't all have to be home runs, man. You can just be like Innocent Gun, you know?
Get a
It's all
base
right.
hit,
Yeah.
but-
You don't have to justify your shitty selection to us.
Just for the record. Dan's drinking Captain Morgan and cola, like it's
Yeah.
pretty that's not that
You
original.
don't have to be like Mike and fucking have a hipster beer every
You
weekend,
do.
right?
No, you fucking do.
You do have to have a
Let Mike
I'm not
have that
coming.
role. That's the point.
I don't
Just
know.
for the
if anybody's
record,
trying
when
to
you said-
dethrone Mike, I think I know who it is.
No kidding. All right, Mike, what are you drinking, bud?
I'm drinking Brakeman's Session Ale from Junction Brewing.
You sent me a Snapchat, and I totally thought it said Drake man.
Drake
Man.
That's so
Yeah.
sick. Drake's getting into the
Drake
game
man's
now, man.
Got it from the bottom, now we're beer.
Started from the upper middle class.
Yeah,
You mean?
exactly.
Yeah, from Forest Hill. Yeah.
Have you guys seen those Drake vines?
Oh, the Drake wines are so good, man. The Wii Sports one, so funny.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen the Crushing the Spider one.
No, I may have to get that one from you later. That's too good.
Stop it.
What about you, Pete? Are you drinking anything today?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
drinking the opposite of a hipster beer. I'm drinking the ultimate working class Queensland beer, 4X Gold.
4X. I remember 4X. It's a classic. Wait, is that the gold? Is not the strong one, is it?
No, it just happened to be in my fridge from a party.
Nice.
Wow.
Leftover beer. I like it.
It's
So you're not working
3.5
today?
one standard drink.
Oh yeah.
Isn't it like 8 o'clock in the morning where you are right now?
It's noon.
Hey man,
Good work.
no,
Okay.
no one judges,
That's
right?
We're still good. We're still good
This is a
then.
judgment-free zone. Okay?
Noon's okay.
lunch beer. Big deal.
Yeah.
It's more
It's
curiosity.
Exactly.
Hey, it's a light beer. It's a 3.5.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
That's why you're having a glass of water. It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice of you to drink an American beer there.
Oh, shots fired! What are you drinking, Eamon?
Yeah, not something I
I'm
particularly
drinking
buy.
eggnog. What do you think I'm drinking?
Eggnog!
Still?
Just eggnog? Like
He's
straight
actually
up?
never
Still.
stopped drinking it.
I
Like,
never
since
stopped.
last podcast. He's been just slowly sipping eggnog.
Just
People are going to start thinking we just record these all at once.
Yeah, I know,
'cause
right?
Eamon
Hook
only
into my
drinks eggnog.
veins.
He just anytime you can knock on Heyman's door at any time, he'll answer like with a Scotch glass full of eggnog and like a hex coat.
Are you
Any
drunk?
time of day.
I'm drunk.
People are getting into this homebrew, Heyman. You should start brewing eggnog, man.
I think you are the perfect candidate for that. I would try your homebrew eggnog.
A trial run at eggnog would be nasty.
Terrifying.
Like, it would never turn out good the first. Like any like trial run of your first brew of beer is always like super bitter and disgusting, but like eggnog, oh, I don't even know.
Yeah. Cool.
So, actual true story, when my dad was younger, my grandma used to make eggnog, homemade eggnog.
I heard it's better than store-bought.
Yeah,
not.
apparently it's amazing.
Okay.
Did Glenn just say it's not?
My parents is not.
Oh. How complicated is it? Let me look at a recipe.
It's not complicated.
No, it's just you have to have the time and the commitment, and I think $2.99 is way more worth that.
I don't know. This
Plus,
is
like they sugar it up and like they actually pasteurize it when you buy it in the store, so it's like really safe.
Yeah. No, and it's great.
Unlike the homemade version.
Homemade stuff is like Salmonella Central, right?
Yes.
this says it. This recipe on the Food Network says like prep time in 15 minutes. That's not that bad.
Oh, you literally just like mix it up and then drink it, and there's raw egg in it.
Well, they just say like you need the patience and the time. I'm like, I don't think you need much time. You just need.
I guess you're right. I mean, if you fuck up, then yeah, obviously.
When you look at the ingredients, you realize people love it so much. Milk,
Sure.
heavy cream, bourbon,
Yeah.
4 egg whites. What I don't understand is it says 4 egg yolks. Okay, I see. It's a separate time. It's like 4 egg yolks and 4 egg whites. It's like,
That's
I
just
didn't
4
see it was like you need
That's
to
4
add-
egg.
I'm drinking Brakeman's Session Ale from Junction Brewing.
You sent me a Snapchat, and I totally thought it said Drake man.
Drake
That's so
man.
sick. Drake's getting into the game now, man.
Got it from the bottom now with beer.
Started from the upper middle class.
Yeah,
You mean?
exactly.
Yeah, from Forest Hill. Yeah.
Have you guys seen those
I
Drake
thought it said-
vines?
Man,
Oh, the Drake vines are so good, man. The Wii Sports one, so funny.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I've seen the Crushing the Spider one.
No, I may have to get that one for me later. That's too good.
Stop it.
What about you, Pete? Are you drinking anything today?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
drinking the opposite of a hipster beer. I'm drinking the ultimate working class Queensland beer, 4X Gold.
4X. I remember 4X. It's a classic. Wait, is that the gold? Is not the strong one, is it?
No, it just happened to be in my fridge from a party.
Nice.
Um,
Leftover beer. I like it.
It's
So you're not working
3.5
today?
one standard drink.
Oh yeah.
Isn't it like 8 o'clock in the morning where you are right now?
It's noon.
Hey man,
Good work.
No,
Okay.
no one judges,
That's
right?
We're still good. We're still good
This is a
then.
judgment-free zone. Okay,
Noon's
man?
okay.
lunch beer, big deal.
Yeah.
It's more curiosity.
Exactly.
It's a light beer. It's a 3.5.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
That's why you're having a glass of water. It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice of you to drink an American beer there.
Oh, shots fired! What are you drinking, Eamon?
Not something I
I'm
particularly
drinking
buy.
eggnog. What do you think I'm drinking?
Eggnog!
Still?
Just eggnog? Like
He's
straight
actually
up?
never
Still.
stopped drinking it.
No.
I
Like,
never
since last
stopped.
podcast. He's been just slowly sipping eggnog.
Just
People are going to start thinking we just record these all at once.
Yeah, I know,
'cause
right?
Eamon
Hook
only
it to
drinks
my
eggnog.
veins!
He just anytime you can knock on Heyman's door at any time, he'll answer like with a Scotch glass full of eggnog and like a hex coat.
Are you
Any
drunk?
time of day.
I'm drunk.
People are getting into this homebrew, Heyman. You should start brewing eggnog, man.
I think you are the perfect candidate for that. I would try your homebrew eggnog.
A trial run at eggnog would be nasty.
Terrifying.
Like, it would never turn out good the first. Like any like trial run of your first brew of beer is always like super bitter and disgusting, but like eggnog, oh, I don't even know.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
actual true story, when my dad was younger, my grandma used to make eggnog, homemade eggnog.
I heard it's better than store-bought.
Yeah,
eggnog.
not.
apparently it's amazing.
Okay.
Did Glenn just say it's not?
My parents is not.
Oh. How complicated is it? Let me look at a recipe.
It's
It's not complicated.
No, it's just you have to have the time and the commitment, and I think $2.99 is way more worth that.
I don't know. This
Plus,
says
like
well,
they sugar it up and like they actually pasteurize it when you buy it in the store, so it's like really safe.
Yeah. No, and it's great.
Unlike the homemade version.
Homemade stuff is like Salmonella Central, right?
I
Yes.
don't know, this says it. This recipe on the Food Network says like prep time in 15 minutes. That's not that bad.
Oh, you literally just like mix it up and then drink it, and there's raw egg in
yeah.
it.
Well, they just say like you need the patience and the time. I'm like, I don't think you need much time. You just need.
I guess you're right. I mean, if you fuck up, then yeah, obviously.
When you look at the ingredients, you realize people love it so much. Milk,
Sure.
heavy cream, bourbon,
Yeah.
four egg whites. What I don't understand is it says 4 egg yolks. Okay, I see. It's a separate time. It's like 4 egg yolks and 4 egg whites. It's like
That's
I
just
didn't
4
see it
eggs.
was like you need
That's
to
4
add-
eggs.
There's separate times, and it's like that's just 4 eggs, guys. You could just put those together.
All right, I'm drinking this funny story behind mine. Not that funny, I guess, but I'm drinking a wine called Barefoot Wine. But the way I got it is funny. I was leaving work yesterday, and a couple of our managers were having a meeting, and they didn't fucking clean up after their like giant lunch or dinner time thing. Like, who the fuck's gonna clean it? Like, we're not like your mother. Like, no one cleans it. Clean up after yourself. So they fucked up. They left 3 unopened bottles of wine. So
You just took it.
we took them, and so that's what I'm drinking. Free wine. It tastes delicious.
I hope that's
Just
worth
like
your
Grandma used
career.
to make.
Thanks. I was super nervous about the security guard catching me, but I don't
Yeah.
think he did. So.
All right, continue on. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna get one.
All right, Glenn, what are you drinking?
I'm actually drinking a Stanley Park Curiosity Lager, and they teamed up with Lululemon to make it, and I was really surprised by that, and it's really good, and I was really surprised by that.
I've had it before, and when I first saw it, I was like, oh, Lululemon beer, what the hell is this? It's
I know.
Overpriced and not even that good, and probably see-through or something, you know?
Yeah, but it's really good.
But it actually is very, very good, I agree, yeah.
Seawee's Release.
And that's like hipster central. Put that on your list. Oh,
Yeah.
man, people would love you if you drink that shit.
Right up yo alley.
Absolutely.
Thanks, buds.
Anyways, let's get on to the main topic, which is the evolution of controllers, I guess, is what I'm going to be
Oh,
naming
not
it.
of dance? Oh, damn it.
Yeah. I guess I want to talk about, the format of controllers, how they've grown, and how we have learned to accept it. You go back to, the early days, like Atari Pong obviously had the joystick, which was very popular, but I think once Nintendo joined the game, they really centralized on having, that A and B button with the directional pad. But it was still, an uncomfortable square. But to this day, a lot of people swear by that controller. Is it nostalgia, or what's going on here? What do you guys think is going on with the people who think NES is the best controller?
Are they just nostalgic for NES?
Yeah,
That,
see,
from a technical standpoint, that doesn't make any sense at all.
I agree.
That's just nonsense.
It's
Yeah.
it's
Just
literal
madness.
nonsense. Who the fuck said that?
Yeah. Well, SNES people. A lot of people are devouts of SNES controllers.
Sure,
I think
and that does make some sense.
it's a little better.
from a
Yeah, it's a little
enjoyment
better. I think
or
the
nostalgia.
simplicity and the nostalgia definitely plays into it. But then once the SNES came, it introduced X and Y and introduced triggers. And I think triggers were the big step, right? I think it added a lot.
Triggers.
Even in that limited 16-bit era, it added a lot to the
Yeah.
to how to control games, I guess.
And it was slightly more hand-shaped.
Yes, it had.
Yeah,
the
true.
Just mildly, but it was.
Yeah, true.
So where do you guys think that that developers and companies started to really nail it? Where do you think that was a tipping point from a device to a true comfortable piece to have in your hands?
Probably the DualShock.
Yeah.
The DualShock.
I think the DualShock's the first one that was really outstanding in its generation, because if you look back at that time, the DualShock was up against the N64 controller, which was, looking back at the time, it made sense, but looking back, it was really wonky looking.
People love the Nintendo 64 controller though. They love the grips and I know the 3 grips is kind of weird, but
Yeah, and you have multiple options, and people played the same games in different ways, and there was lots of good things about that controller, but the DualShock was the heavily preferred one of that generation.
absolutely.
And-
It's actually not that ergonomic itself.
I agree.
I don't
agree.
like it.
Oh, really?
I hate
No,
it.
no, people don't like it, and honestly, I think Sony really perfected it. They were pressured by the gamers to keep it the same for PS2 and PS3 and PS1, I guess. But the PS4, holy crap, that is a comfortable controller. They deviated from the DualShock design, and it is now, in my opinion, the best controller. But then let's talk about analog stick placement, right? Because I think that's the biggest issue with the PlayStation controllers, that people don't like it because they feel cramped a bit, and they think having the 2 analog sticks right in the middle kind of cramps their thumbs.
You're pulling your thumbs down. They're not
Yeah.
where your thumbs naturally sit.
Yeah, exactly. But I think early on with the PlayStation, weren't really using that for FPS games, which is easily the most popular. And it made sense for driving games, made sense for racing games, made sense for most of the stuff, right?
I'm sorry, I thought you kicked me because I was bashing the DualShock. I'm back.
No, I mean when Xbox brought out the offset analog sticks, that was interesting because it wasn't symmetrical anymore. But holy crap, it just felt right in your hands, especially at the dawn of like the FPS popularity. But actually, sorry, I don't mean to. I'm going to interrupt my own argument here. The original Xbox controller was absolute shit, and most people complain all the time. Right?
That thing was a beast.
Oh my
And I
god.
think
That
we
was
touched
your
on it
that was
earlier,
your
didn't we?
third friend controller is what it was.
Yeah. But it shipped with the Xbox, so it was the main controller. Some people swear by it, but oh my god, it was terrible.
Was
so
it
massive.
Xbox that came out with that offset first? I thought it was GameCube.
Oh, technically you're right. Technically it was this, but the C stick on the GameCube was super weird. But a lot of people to this day still say that the GameCube is their favorite controller.
That's my favorite.
Smash
That's
players,
mine.
Smash players swear by it. Like they won't play it with anything.
I think the best thing the GameCube did was the triggers. They were amazing.
Oh, those
Double
triggers.
triggers.
Yeah.
Or no, they just had
The
they
clicky.
just had one extra.
The click was I think it added so much to it, and we'll get to this later. But the Steam controller takes aspects from that. It's about the half click versus the full one. Like it just adds
Yeah.
so much to your
Yeah.
games, you know.
Such a
love
good
it.
idea.
But the C stick I wasn't a big fan of because it was like it actually had a segmented like octagonal shape, which I wasn't a big fan of, you know.
Yeah, it didn't really affect me. I liked it.
Well, like for first-person shooters, for example, like I don't know if it was that comfortable for me. Like you're right.
Were
but-
any first-person shooters really big on
True,
GameCube?
true. Metroid Prime is the only one, you know.
RE4.
That's third person. That was very, very popular. And Metroid Prime. But I have to say the button quality, like A being the big one, so satisfying,
Oh yeah.
right? And it was the most used button. Like it was used in all the Zelda games so well. Obviously the Mario games, like,
Well,
I loved it.
I read something by the creator of Zelda saying that it's his dream to make a game that only requires one button.
wow.
And he did come kind of close to that in Zelda, where it would just have a different functionality depending on what you were doing.
Good point. Good point.
Interesting.
Yep.
Do you think that can ever be achieved? A whole, like, I mean, do you think he's also talking about motion with that, like motion and a button, maybe? Because Mario's kind of
No,
like that, kind of. It has more than one button.
I'm not sure, but I like what your point was about the clicky shoulder buttons on the GameCube, because it's one button, so the key is not having more buttons. It's just having a button that can do many different things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I
Absolutely.
loved.
Like, so I want to quickly move to the topic that I actually want to talk about, which is the Steam controller. But before I do, I'll touch on the Xbox 360 controller. So it moved on. It copied the DualShock, and it had that same size feeling, and it absolutely nailed it. Like the Xbox, it was called the Xbox Controller S, and it was fantastic, and people swore by it. And then they just did, ever since then, with the 360 and the Xbox One, they've just done like slight iterations with it. And to this day, I consider it one of the best controllers. Until I played the DualShock 4, and it is just phenomenal. But the problem with the DS4, it comes to technical things, like it has it focuses on like fancy things that look good to like shareholders and like, you know, idiots who care about like fancy touch screens and stuff, but the true functionality it doesn't care about. Like it obviously has rumble, it obviously has your buttons, but that touchpad is being underutilized. It has a giant LED in the front, not being used at all, total waste of battery power. What's the battery life of the controller? 4 hours. That's ridiculous. That's unacceptable in today's
That's
society,
terrible.
you know. So so right now there's like I feel like there's so much improvement. So that's what I want to jump in. So I linked a video on Facebook for you guys, and for people who haven't seen it, it's a video of the Steam controller being used with the game called Metal Gear Solid 5. And so okay, well let me go back here. Let me explain the Steam controller a bit. They went away with the button configuration, and their idea is not to provide a PC keyboard controller to use on your couch. It's just a different option, like so that you're able to play PC games on your couch, like even things like RTS games. So they have 2 giant trackpads, and they use that for movement. So you can, but the thing is, it's all customizable. You can use it for whatever you want. So someone figured out how to use the gyroscopic controls in the controller as well as the touchpad to make this mimic this almost motion control controller. And I just thought that was absolutely genius. And I think that's the way we need to move forward with controllers. Not flashy things, not lights and customization. No, the bare essentials and how to actually make people get better aim on their on their controls. Someone's eating chips. Anyways, have you guys seen the Steam controller? What do you guys think? Have you heard of it?
It's awesome.
I like the idea of it. I honestly am skeptical though about using it in practice.
Do you think you can learn a new controller design in this day and age today?
Yes. Yeah.
Right? I think people just need to give it a shot.
People need to give it a shot. I'm willing to try it. I hate trackpads. Like I hate mouse pads, like trackpad mouse.
Mm-hmm. Like a ball, you mean? Trackball, or just the mouse in general?
No, the actual trackpad for a mouse on like a laptop.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm skeptical, but I want to see it in action. Really.
Here's an interesting piece of technology you may not know about: is that the controllers have what's called haptic feedback, and you may have heard that term before in cell phones.
My phone.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. So it gives you an idea of edges and distances and how far you're moving and stuff based on a slight vibration in the trackpad. And I think that's a really cool technology that Valve decided to include with the controller.
I agree. I was really excited to see that. Actually.
And then moving back to what Pete was talking about with the dual button cases. So that's what I want to talk about too. So they have two triggers on their controller. One is your basic R2 right trigger triggers, and L2 obviously. And then there's the third one underneath it, which is for your middle finger to press. So a bunch of options, but the main trigger has a half click and a full click. So the Steam developers were talking about how you can use the same button for two different buttons on your PC. So I'll give you an example. BF4, or you aim down the sights with the right mouse button, and then you shoot with the left mouse button. On the Steam controller, you can just do halfway press would be aim down the sights, and then full press would be a shoot. And I think that's a really smart way of looking at it.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. And then I obviously talked about the gyro stuff, which is just super interesting in my opinion, because so the way it works, right, is that you aim with the right trackpad, and once you get close enough to your target, you aim down the sights with it, which is probably a trigger or something that you pick that's easy to shoot, aim. Now it's very difficult to use a trackpad to kind of adjust your aim after you're aiming down the sights. But what's more precise than that is gyro control, which is kind of like motion control, right? They got the sensors in there to know where you're moving. So you use the physical controller itself to fine-tune your aim. And it just works so well. I think, Kyle, you said you were watching the video before we were at the podcast. What did you think? Oh, God, he's not here, is he?
Nope. Ouch.
He gone.
He
Well, I
offended
watched
DualShock.
the video too, and the guy was moving pretty quickly between targets and then doing some fine tuning with the gyro.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was awesome.
So it does look like you can. It'll definitely take some getting used to, but to imagine the kind of play you can get out of it afterwards.
Do you think
I think that's a good direction to go.
Do you think it has any room in esports or things like that?
Ooh. Probably.
I don't know if it's more of a vanity sort of thing. People use it for fun. I don't know if anyone will ever want to replace it over a keyboard and mouse as a computer.
All right, so that's
Yeah, but there's esports on controllers, right?
True, and I also think that there's obviously going to be montages of people who are so good with it. There's going to be awesome Call of Duty, Counter-Strike montages of people using it. So there is room for showing off. I don't think it's a vanity thing. I think right now it might be a vanity thing.
Is vanity.
I don't know, I think right now it might be a vanity item because it's new and people want to just learn about it and stuff.
Definitely.
But I think eventually people will get so good at it that it will replace an Xbox One controller for their PC gaming, for sure.
I want to get one just for ease of use.
Yeah.
I'm back.
I'll link every single game to Steam, and now I can play almost all of my games without actually being in my mouse and keyboard. I can play them from the couch. I can, Steam is obviously trying to push this networking thing, and this controller is a huge part of throwing my computer game up on my TV and sitting on my couch and playing my PC games.
Yeah.
With this controller, and previous controllers, with the exception of a couple games, wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this in previous podcasts about the console wars and stuff, and there's no reason to be so negative against or to the PC race, right? Like, it's more like, I almost said PC Master Race, and I thought I'd be hypocritical a bit. But
right now.
Yeah, there are some games that just feel good to play on a couch, right? And that's what the Steam controller and Steam Link does. That is, you're able to still play those games for fun. And I think what Valve is doing is right, is offering us the choice of what to play with. So you can still use an Xbox controller if you're happy, but if you want to try something different that you're not happy using your Xbox controller with, try the Steam controller out.
It's funny you say that. Some games you just want to play from your couch. It's like that. I can honestly say that has swayed me in some game purchasing when it comes to like PC or like PS4.
Absolutely.
I'm just more like Battlefront is a prime example where it's like I have friends that played on PS4, and I have like you guys are playing on PC. It's like, who do I want to like play it with? Like what platform do I get it for? I really just would rather play that game on my couch on my nice like big TV.
It's just light. Just want to lay back and just.
Yeah, like it's just I enjoy it more in that sense. I think that's the one thing about PC gaming in some senses. Yeah, so I really like Glenn's idea and the fact that like it just gives you that bridge to kind of link the two together and still have that freedom, but to kind of network it all together and be able to play it in the manner you want to play it. Right, it gives you more control.
There are also some clear weaknesses in Battlefront using a mouse and keyboard. In that, once you got into or the Star Wars game, if that's what you're talking about, when we played that beta.
Yep, that's
the controls for the ships, like
they were terrible.
God, they're bad.
Oh yeah,
God.
It's way better with a joystick. Clearly, it would be.
Yes.
Like, there's just some things console controller joysticks are better for, and in that case, it's a prime example, like just way better. And I'm assuming, and I've never played Battlefield outside of PC, but I'm assuming games like that, like helicopter piloting and stuff like that, is far more intuitive.
That's a very, very good point. Like driving games in general, that's what I want to talk about too. Is like Kyle, you mentioned before the podcast that like you consider PC and mouse and keyboard to be one of the best, but like there's a lot of problems with it, right? Like WSAD is it for movement. Like whereas a console you can get 360 degrees, like it's so much more movement. Yeah. So that there's definitely a limitation, and I think the Steam controller is trying to bridge that gap a little bit.
Well, I mean WSAD for movement, but you got to bring into the fact that you're combining it with a mouse, right? It's not just. I mean, the controller is mouse keyboard.
I agree. I know what you're trying to say, but there are definitely limitations.
I get what you mean. Yeah, there are definitely limitations to it.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, for me, like mouse keyboard, and I'm sorry, I was away talking on the phone for most of this podcast, but mouse keyboard for me is just like when you think about it, like first person shooters, it'll always be superior, and there's certain game platforms where it'll always be superior.
Yeah.
Macroing and stuff like that, and MMOs and things like that, you need.
LOL and other things,
LOL, MMOs, you need that more expansive options, and that they'll always have that place. But like watching that demo for the Steam controller blew my mind, like absolutely blew my mind, because I'm like, it doesn't look like it's a complicated.
It's intuitive in a sense, right?
Yeah, it's complicated on how it works and like what's going on in that. But when you look at how he's controlling it, and instantly without even holding the controller, I could see just how simple it was to handle. How natural that was. It just reminded me of using a mouse for a first-person shooter, and the fact that just like moving your hand right to where you want to shoot, it's more intuitive in that sense for first-person shooters. You feel like you have more control than just moving a joystick with your thumb, right? You panic more in that sense, whereas a mouse. But I think it's just combined that really well. So I loved that about that Steam controller. Like I just want to try it. I think that sold me on it more than anything, was just seeing that combination. So
it's so clever too, right? Because it doesn't require a camera or lights or some kind of external device.
It's just that gyroscopic stuff, and that's not a new technology. It's
absolutely,
just Steam has used it much better. Like that exists in many controllers now. Those gyroscopes, but you watched how responsive that was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which blew my mind. It's just like they've fine tuned it to the point where it's much more usable. Because I mean, gyroscopes existed, but like and PS4 introduced them for like the side-to-side motions. I think Warhawk was the example when the
PS3, I mean, yeah.
Right.
PS3.
It was so bad though. Like it wasn't
It
done
was
well.
terrible, right? It was like, okay, here's like a gyroscopic motion, but like people tried to. It was brutal. Like I remember you the demo, the guy was trying to display it, and his like Warhawk was like literally crashing into the side of a building, scraping along because he couldn't like get it to tilt back. And like this was like the developer of the game trying to demo it. Like it just wasn't far enough along.
No.
And now I think it truly is sort of be fun to play with.
I have to give credit where credit is due. While researching for this topic, I did see that Splatoon actually implemented this before. So apparently the Wii U itself has a really good gyroscopic controls, and it uses a very similar aiming mechanism. It's just a bit larger and more bulky, so that's why I do want to give kudos to Valve for doing it on a small controller scale.
Yeah, because I mean, I was, it does. It actually does. I guess they do deserve respect, like the Wii U does use a really good one, but obviously the controllers are massive. So.
Yeah, I think that's actually one thing I want to touch on is the Wii U controller itself. I think it came in at the wrong time. People were like raving about tablets and iPads and stuff, and I think it really wanted to jump in on that craze. And as a result, it's not being utilized as effectively as a regular controller would have. So right. I think we've already heard rumors about Nintendo releasing their next console and
they're in full. They've actually announced. Sorry to interrupt. They've announced that a dev kit is already.
Right. That's right.
So
so they're moving on basically, right? Like my guess is the new Zelda game will be a dual release, like Twilight Princess, like both for Wii U and the next console. That's my guess.
And there's the luxury Nintendo has right there. Yeah. Everyone's gonna buy that console straight up.
For Zelda, right? Yeah, it totally makes sense. So.
And I will. I will be one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
I will buy it. Yeah. Shut up, make money.
Last thing I want to touch on before I end this podcast is VR. Like, so we got the HTC Vive, which is sponsored by Steam, the Oculus Rift, and the PlayStation VR. And from what I've seen on demo videos and stuff like that, they've mainly been on Rails experiences. So basically, like, they take you through like an environment, and then you basically use your Move controller, HTC controller, or like Oculus Rift controllers, and just like point at things and move your hands to observe things and simulate like swords, bow and arrows, spears, that kind of thing. But I've never really seen like I think there's a lot of things that can be done with like holding a controller with gyroscopic control and kind of utilizing that Steam thing we talked about. With VR. I think that would be so intuitive, but I don't know. Do you think we'll see big budget games like Metal Gears, Call of Duties, that kind of thing on a VR game?
I think VR. I think it's so much further away than people think it is in what it can do and what it will be in the mainstream. I really think like everyone talks about VR and Oculus Rift and like, oh, it's gonna like when is it gonna be available to the public, but like. And I don't want to say it's going to be I almost want to say with what it's at now, if it were going to be released right now with what they have, I honestly think 100% it would be a novelty that would wear off very fast.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it has enough to offer people for them to be like, I need to play this all the time. I think it's going to be like the Wii or the Wii, whatever like that, right? The motion control in that first game, everybody loved it, but it was a novelty that wore off pretty quick.
Yeah.
After everybody bought it. And I think that's what VR is now, if they were to release it now. I think it's way further off in terms of the big blockbuster games jumping on board, because I don't think it offers enough for them to develop for it. Because it's not, it's a lot more to develop for a VR system. Mm-hmm. It's just not, I don't think it has the technology now to give them a real game changer to develop for it.
Sure. Let me hear what you think about this. I've read this theory on the internet, and I really do believe this as well. So Sony's making the PlayStation VR, and I think they have the biggest responsibility when it comes to VR because they are sitting on what could be the carrier project for virtual reality. And what I mean by that is like similar to how like when Apple released a smartphone, they were like the true smartphone people. PlayStation has the benefit of having almost 40 million PS4 owners around the world. And now they're releasing a piece of proprietary software that all you require is not some $1,000, $2,000 gaming machine or an amazing graphics card. All you need is a simple PS4. So I think they have a lot of responsibility on them to do it right and don't gouge people and make sure that the VR experience is full-fledged on your PlayStation. You have the capability. You have the Move controllers, you have the camera, and you got a great controller. Implement PlayStation VR with simple things. If I'm even able to portray the game itself, like what's being displayed on my TV, in my virtual reality headset, I think that would go a long way. Like imagine being able to watch Netflix on your virtual reality headset. That enough would be enough for people to buy it, don't you think?
That scares the shit out of me. To be honest, I really don't like the idea of that. I just like, and I know it's silly to say, but like, the idea of somebody like walking in and somebody just sitting on a chair, like staring at a wall because
fair enough.
Watching Netflix. Like, I think that is exactly the wrong direction this society needs to head.
Freaky.
I respect that. I respect that.
Yeah. So like things like I don't. That's what I'm so apprehensive about virtual reality in the sense that like when I play like especially like if games were to start being like really like full virtual reality or like a whole game you could play like what's like you go over like say like you go over a gaming marathon with your buddy and it's like I have a VR headset like let's work through this level together one at a time, but like you just sit there in silence while and then once I'm done the level I'll hand the VR headset to you and you can do a level and I'll sit there in silence.
Or even worse, Kyle, like two guys just have their own VR headsets. They just stand there staring at each other, but like not actually. It looks like so weird.
Like it's creepy to me. It's really creepy.
Fair enough. I guess what I was trying to get at is like I want to get a bigger audience for this, right? It needs to hit mainstream success like the Wii did with motion control, right?
Yep.
And the best way for it to do that is to provide some kind of supplementary use for it. Like if it's a $400, $500 headset that just plays shitty Unreal games, I don't think it. I think you're right. It's going to be a fad. I think it's going to disappear just like motion controls did. You know. So it needs to offer a bit more.
It's gonna go like the Sega Dreamcast, man.
Exactly, man. Exactly. So okay, well let's try and get back on topic with controllers then. Like, do you think it requires like its own special controllers? Like, Vive released like these really weird looking controllers with like buttons on the side and stuff, and PlayStation has the Move, and Oculus as well is announcing their own controllers. So
I want to see the Power Glove.
Yeah, there you go.
Like an actual one though. Like you could do some different gestures for different controls.
I was
Your force push would be an open hand.
Yeah, I was gonna go on the same. I was actually thinking the same idea that Dan had. Like, I would picture two like gloves, like with different kind of like you tap two fingers together, like you do a certain motion.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, like anything.
Oh man, genius!
Anything like that, I would picture that as an effective controller for a successful VR headset. Like you could use a regular controller too, but like the idea that like you know a gripping motion. Whatever, like you're making a fist would know you like have a sword in a certain game and swing in certain ways, and like making a palm motion, know you're doing that, or like turn like it would kind of work in that sense. I don't know
or
how.
Like reloading a gun, like you wave one hand over the other.
Yeah, I've seen some cool videos, like even like revolvers, to like shake it like a revolver, and then.
Or like even if you're wearing gloves, like you pick up the motion, like just pulling your index finger like a trigger would make it fire. Like you could, you know, if they got that for like that's the kind of thing I would picture with a VR headset if it were to become successful. Is you want the full feel like you're in the world, and to do that you need to be like immersed in it in terms of like physically moving your hands, and whatever you're moving your hands with is dropping on the screen. That's what I picture as a successful VR system, not just like sitting there. You know, you might as well just be staring at your TV if you're just using a controller. Right. So for me, I kind of want that kind of system where something like two gloves in your hand, and they've through a combination of motion and gyroscopes and sensors and touching stuff like that, you can control the world through those. It would be pretty cool.
Okay, let me give you a hypothetical. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Pete.
Sorry, when we talk about gaming gloves, my mind instantly wonders about the hygienic aspect and how gross the gaming glove would get. Like, it would just be disgusting in there, and like they would reach their hand out, have some pizza, stick their hand back in the glove.
It's like I've been playing this game for 9 hours. Want to try my game glove? It's like no thanks, dude. Like it's enough sweating.
Your hands are just so sweaty too, like all the time.
Like I even felt that way about holding a controller that someone held for a long time when it was like hot and sticky, or like man, like.
Or you look at somebody's controller, like for example, like when I picked up my buddy's PS4 controller. And the touchpad is like all see on one side from using it. And I'm like, I'm gonna use the other.
Oh, and on the other side of the spectrum, I was talking about Glenn and about how he absolutely mutilated every single person's fucking GameCube controller.
Thanks a lot, Glenn. Holy crap!
I didn't do anything like that.
I'd be like in my room, and I'd be like in my room, like, oh, Glenn's playing games upstairs.
You could hear like. It's so loud, man. Like, give this, well, the poor C-Stick, he's already dead, you know?
The
Kurt,
C-Stick
why
was
you
the one
always
that was
give me the shitty
vulnerable. It
controller?
was the plastic pad on top of the other sticks.
Right.
The wave birds.
Oh god.
Oh, wait.
Those
The
poor
first,
Wavebirds.
give credit to Nintendo, the first like true inception of the wireless controller.
I have to give them credit for that, absolutely. Yeah, great touch. Great to touch upon that for sure. Okay, I got one last hypothetical question for you guys before I end the podcast. All right, so say it's 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, virtual reality is a grand success, right? Almost everyone who owns a console owns a headset to go with it, you know? Can standard console controllers coexist with virtual reality consoles, or are they going to be segmented?
No, 100% they can coexist, I think.
You think people will be holding controllers while they play?
Oh,
virtual
you mean
reality?
in that sense?
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not at the same time.
I mean at the same time.
No, I thought you meant like, is there a space in the industry for controllers?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure gamers will flock to both technologies very well. And I'm sure we'll see like.
Controller, I in 5 years, if it's widely successful, personally, I hope it has some kind of specialized control system.
Yeah.
But
I just hope it's not just all on rails. Like that's the easy way out, you know. Like obviously the first games, like Kyle, you made a real good point. The first few games are going to be really like experimental. It's like starting over again, right? Like it's like being back in the NES Atari era, and people are trying things out for the first time. And it'll take years before they start developing AAA budget games, right? Like so, give it time. I think in 5 years we'll see some really creative stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope they do. Like I said, I just feel like everyone's so excited about VR, but I just feel like it's so much further off than people.
That's a valid complaint. And I think you're right. I think there's a lot to learn. But in the sense of like controllers being used in conjunction, Kyle, you made a lot of great points. I think it is a little bit creepy when you think about it that way.
I just don't like the idea of it. Like I think like the WALL-E. Like you think of WALL-E.
Yeah, the fat people. Yeah.
All the fat people in chairs. That's what I see.
Yeah.
That VR
but okay. Well, let me provide a retort to that. Don't you think you could have the most immersive experience? Think about playing a game like Uncharted 4, and everywhere you look, or like Halo, and like you look left and you can see things that you would never have seen if you didn't turn that way. Like see your feet, see around you, see behind you. Like it could be so immersive, you know.
You know what? I picture people hurting themselves a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Because
I'm talking about sitting on a couch and just playing.
A lot of stubbed toes.
You picture, like seeing this and like turning left and turning right and seeing different parts that are like, oh man, like I feel like I'm there. Your mind is gonna want to instinctively move.
Yeah.
Like there's gonna be so many compilations.
So like you're gonna like
walk
Drake
upstairs
running and jumping. Like you're gonna be like assuming like for me, if I'm gonna be standing playing this game because I'm gonna be very immersive. So I'm gonna be standing, and like I feel like at some point your brain's gonna trick you, and you're gonna think you're actually there, and you're gonna swing your arm wildly, or you're gonna like jump in the air, and you're gonna hurt yourself because you're gonna be like, oh wait, I'm not actually here. Or like Drake running and jumping over like off a building onto the next and like hanging on to something.
Vertigo
Like,
and stuff.
you're gonna instinctively like jump or something and like bang your head off the wall.
I wouldn't be surprised.
You're gonna need
like you said, it's a
Oh
learning
man, you're
process.
talking about Uncharted, not the rapper? Oh, that makes
Yeah,
so
I thought
much
you were
more
talking about the
sense.
rapper first.
So while we're on that topic, wouldn't it be the worst if it was VR and Kinect?
That'd be awesome. You just need to
How
have a
would
really
that be
padded
awesome?
room.
You now have no idea where you are in your house because you can't see because of the virtual reality set.
Padded room.
Yeah, you
Like
need to
when you're crazy.
People are gonna buy padded rooms.
padded rooms for gaming.
Here's my other issue with VR and the demos I've seen is this is what I don't understand. It's like I saw a demo where it was like I think it was like a kind of a horror or like Silent Hill style demo, and they were walking through like a corridor and things would pop out at them, and the person was physically they were walking through a hall, and on the VR something would pop out. But I'm like, you're not always going to have the opportunity to walk around your house. Like you're going to have to
custom
be
built experiences, right? That are
but that's the exact point though. Is these are custom built experiences that you're not going to be able to have in your own home. Like they're not even like that's it. It concerns me. Like this is the way they're going, and this is what people are testing. Like this is amazing, but it's like this isn't what you're going to have sitting at home. You're going to have to be sitting still in a different experience. So it's like everything they've shown, not everything, but a lot of things they've shown is like you're moving with the experience, and it's like you can't move like unless you're out in the middle of a field and you're like, okay, you got lots of space to work with, go. Like it's
I didn't I didn't even think about like designing, like places designing like an area with VR, like almost like a paintball match or something. I didn't even think about
That
it.
might become
Like-
part of the thing, though, right?
Yeah,
like,
that would be legit.
I've got this space rented out and built,
Yeah.
and there's a game that you can come play.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, that's totally what I
fucking
picture
awesome.
happening. It could be like
That'd be sick.
how how escape rooms have become so big now, right?
Yeah,
exactly what I was
but
gonna
now
reference.
it's a VR escape.
But now it's like
right?
a VR escape room or like
With
just
zombies.
which is a really cool idea. But
Way more intense.
yeah, it is a super. I see what you're saying, though, Nuge. Like to go back to that point that we started this on, it would be a super immersive experience and really enjoyable. It just like certain that like to me, like that's the one thing about it is like looking around and being like, okay, yeah, but it for me at least at this point until I actually experience it, it's not much different than me just sitting, watching it on my TV in front of my eyes. Like it's if I can't control it or move, it depends on the control interface and stuff. If I'm just playing with my regular PS4 controller and have the VR on, and I can just like look side to side and see things more clearly. Like it's pretty cool, but it's not worth whatever like the 200 something bucks they're going to charge for it.
Fair enough.
That's my opinion. That's that's just what I think about the whole thing. I want to see more out of it. I want to see more of what it's capable of.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot to be left, for imagination right now.
What were you gonna say, Mike? Anything?
No, it's just a kind of a side note, backtracking a bit. When we were talking a bit about price point for all this stuff, and like we didn't really mention the Steam controller's price point, which is, even though I was skeptical about some of it, like I'm totally willing to try it. I think it's like $60 or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's actually 50. It's quite cheap.
Oh, 50?
Well, look at the PS4 controller is
It's like,
$8.
yeah, exactly. So when we're talking about like price point for VR stuff, I mean that's a huge win for
I
me on the
wanted
Steam
to give a
controller.
slow clap when I saw that. Mind you, that's the American pricing. It's going to be more expensive.
I don't think it'll be that much more expensive. Steam charges pretty well, so it should be okay. And the whole idea is they want early adopters, right? So they're gonna be able to make sure it's affordable. So I appreciate that.
I don't know if you guys talked about this earlier, but like just as a note going out, like I was sitting playing Destiny the other day or today, sorry, and I was like, man, like I can't remember like how like I was sitting on my couch like way back, and I was like, man, what a great time it is in terms of like wireless control. I was like, remember having wired controllers? I was like, I haven't played with a wired controller in like so long. Like it's just so weird. Like sitting back, like I remember when these first came out, and I was like, oh, I can sit so far back. Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah, come on.
Like, I don't have to be tethered to the fucking like game system anymore. This is amazing, and like now you just take it for such a novelty. But like I just like thought about it for a second. I was like, man, you used to have to sit so like not so much closer, but closer to the system. And like if you got excited or like yanked the controller back in anger, you'd like pull the N64 off the
Yeah.
like,
Consoles were built
fairness.
to last. To be fair,
Yeah.
right? they were strong
were
machines.
to understand that that you would be upset and it would get ripped off the shelf at some point.
That happened to Mike Gordon's Wii.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Really?
In all fairness to that point, though, I mean, like now I have a 50-inch TV in my living room.
Yeah, very good point.
I think
Yeah.
when the PS2 came out, I definitely did not have anything close to 50 inches.
Yeah,
It was,
I had 19
Yeah.
CRT, right?
yeah. So
Good times.
to go along with that, yeah, you were tied to being close to the actual console.
But you kind of had to be
But
close
you
to
kind of had to be in order to see any sort of detail in anything.
I know what you mean there for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay, I don't know if there's any funny. The other funny controller note that again I don't know if you guys brought up was the evolution of the wrist strap on the Wiimotes after.
Fair enough. Yeah, I touched on the Wii motion controls, but
Just a funny point to bring up, and the fact that like how quickly they had to send people like those wrist ties that didn't have them yet and like make them standard and everything because of how many people ended up throwing those controllers across the room
Oh my god.
by accident,
Yeah,
or like the photos that went up of just Wii Remote controllers like fully impaled into a TV screen. It was just priceless. Like it's so funny.
Imagine
Just wanted to
virtual
pull a
reality
strike.
is gonna be so many lost on
You
the
know,
way.
I still don't know how people were able to do that.
It
Wii
was
bowling, man, 100%.
It was either
and
bowling
tennis.
or tennis. Tennis would have been the more likely one, I think, because people put so much effort into that tennis swing.
Oh my god, it was so
It
funny.
was so funny because the
And like
smaller
you could stand
were
there.
stronger.
You could stand there and like just give a little wrist flick, and you give the exact same power.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta get the experience, right? So you gotta give the full.
Absolutely.
Did you mention the Wii Motion Plus controller too?
No, I moved on to the Wii U with tablet and stuff, but yeah, that's a good point.
Wii Motion Plus-
It did get more accurate. The move did get more accurate, and I think it can be used well with VR. But
Yeah.
I still think motion controls in general were a failure in the industry. I
The
think
only one I liked is when the Wii Motion Plus came out for Zelda
Skyward
Skyward Sword,
Yeah.
and I can honestly say it worked so much more effectively.
A game has to be developed from the ground up for motion controls.
It was
to
for
be
the
remotely
sports
successful.
swings and things like that, and the way they utilized it was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was really well.
I still think it was a fad that everyone jumped on.
Oh, it was
right?
it was a huge failure for sure. Like I think at the end, like it didn't really get to the height it should have or could have. But
My PlayStation Move.
it was
Yeah, it was fun for a party game, but it's nowhere near. Like I think what Sony's doing with the Move in VR is very clever because they're using existing technology to use with the VR, which is smart because they no need to redevelop again, right? So
well, I mean, like Xbox Connect has been ahead of them in that sense.
yeah, but Kinect's also a huge failure. Come on, let's be honest.
Well, they just
they're not even including it with a damn console anymore. It is a failure.
It was brought on too soon. Honestly, it was. Like I just don't think the technology is where it needs to be putting it in the consoles.
Yeah, it was ahead of its time, but it wasn't
It was
utilized
just
well.
brought on too soon. I think that's the biggest
It's
problem.
the same thing I brought up with the PlayStation 4 controller. Like, there's features in it that are just completely pointless that they're not using, like the touchpad. And the
Oh
LED,
yeah,
right?
that's never used,
Yeah,
man.
so annoying. Okay, anyways, I want
Microphone
to end
on,
the podcast. We have gone a bit over time here, so I want to thank you all. This is a very engaging conversation we had. Other than that, yeah. Any last thoughts before I sign off, guys?
I don't know. Dan was hurting to talk about AR, man.
Oh,
You didn't-
yeah, I'm gonna have to save that one for later. AR
Maybe
is
save it.
AR. You talk about amiibos and stuff. That's a whole different topic, man.
Augmented reality.
Augmented.
Yes.
The Pokemon game.
Yeah,
Come on.
the Pokemon Go, and amiibos, Skylanders, that kind of thing. It's very, very successful. They've got their money where it counts, right? The kids love that shit. Skylanders, Disney Infinity, Pokemon, obviously going to be a huge success with Android and iPhones. So
With literally everyone.
yeah, basically,
With
very smart.
kids.
Here's the issue though. They'll make you pay for Pokeballs. That's how they're gonna get you, man. You're gonna pay $1 for Pokeball, $3
It'll
for
be microtransaction.
yeah.
You get one.
You can
per
pay
day.
$100 and you get a Master Ball. That's what they're gonna do. I guarantee it.
Jesus Christ.
Because you want to guarantee that Mew when you finally see him in the world, you want to capture Mew. Mew's gonna be on like top of Mount Everest or something.
now we're merging worlds together.
Yeah, my God.
Or he's just gonna be behind a truck or something. I don't know. Just gotta use strength.
Pokemon Germany.
Yeah. Okay, guys, I want to thank you again. Awesome episode. I guess we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Bye.